Hello, my name's Dave Montgomery. I'll be spending a little time with you today uh, concerning leaving a legacy and not a mess for your family. Folks, there's no doubt we're all going to die. And how we pass our assets on to our family or not can make a huge difference in the success of your family. So, with that being said, I'm going to start moving. This is me. I've got 45 years experience in the estate planning business. I've lived in Oceanside, New York for 20 years, here in Baldwin, and no, I will not lose my accent uh, from Louisiana, where I'm originally from. I've been here 20 years, hadn't lost it yet, don't think I will. I want to introduce you real quick. Before I do, though, I want to make a disclaimer. This is for informational purposes only and does not constitute legal or tax advice. Every situation, including yours, is unique. So please consult your personal attorney and/or tax advisor if you decide to move forward in anything that we talk about. Also, this is Brian Daly. He's a very close partner of mine and friend, lives in Jupiter, Florida. Brian has been 30 years experience as an independent fee-based fiduciary and a certified financial planner and retirement income expert. Now you have all that, but let me say this also. Brian is an excellent tax mitigator. Very important that you know that. Um, as we go down through these slides, I want to take 1 minute and I want to take some time and get you, I guess, positioned, if you would, since you're on the couch at home and you're watching this from the comfort of your own home, probably. Uh, I want you just to relax. Nothing's for sale right now. We can't do anything with you over this video. But I want you to remember back when you married your wife and y'all were young, didn't have gray hair, and you were experiencing life, and you just didn't know what life had. You might have just got out of high school, you might have just got out of college, but you're young and you're learning. And here's what I know. At retirement, when you get gray and old, right? Retirement doesn't mean you know everything. But what retirement does become is what we call rewirement. You have to change some of the things that you've thought about all your life. Let me give you an example. In the example of what is the largest debt you and your spouse will ever have, in 90% of the cases, I want you to write it down. What is the largest debt you have? You're looking at each other and you're saying an answer right now. And in general situations, the answer is always the same. 90+% of the people come out with the same answer. And that answer is what? What do you think it is? Most people think it's their mortgage. Folks, I'm going to give you some stuff today, and I'm going to call some of the stuff I'm going to give you as facts, facts of life. Here's one. The largest debt you'll ever have in your life is not your mortgage. The largest debt you'll ever have is taxes. Taxes. You cannot pay them off. They're going to be here when you retire. Yes, you could have paid your house off 10 years ago, 5 years ago, 5 minutes ago. Taxes are never going away unless you understand they have tax laws that can help you and they have tax laws that can hurt you. Brian, on the other hand, is a tax mitigator. I will explain during the course of this seminar what that means. But let's talk about retirement. Now you're fixing to step off of that retirement cliff, or you already have. And you know what? It's different. It's different. I want you to apply logic and common sense, just like you did when you bought your mortgage. You got the best interest rate you could and the least down payment you could. You understood that because of logic and common sense. And you were young and energetic and putting money away, and it was a wonderful thing. Well, that was called the accumulation phase of your life, where you accumulated things. You accumulated the wealth you currently have or don't have. But that was your accumulation phase. But when you step off of that retirement cliff, it doesn't work the same. See, you go from the accumulation phase to the distribution phase. Now, in the distribution phase, we hope that we can convince you that it needs work also. And it needs logic and common sense applied to it also. How are you going to take the money that you saved for retirement, your Social Security, your IRA, and how are you going to push that into the future with the least amount of taxes? And if and when you die, because you are going to die, there's no if to it. And when you die, you and your spouse pass those assets on to your family in the least expensive and the least hurdled way. The hurdles are out of the way, and all that assets that you set aside can go directly to your family within 24 to 48 hours. Now, let's keep moving. Let's talk about financial planning for just a minute. I've been doing financial planning for 46 years. It includes estate planning and all these other core components. But let me ask you something. You think legal planning, trust and wills and directives. Do you think those are concerns? I know you do. That's why you're watching this video, or that's why you're here tonight. Your retirement income. Are you sure it's going to last? Wouldn't you like to know it's going to last? We can help you with that. We can help you with tax planning, to minimize what the IRS takes. You see, folks, today is April the 16th. Yesterday was April the 15th, and taxes were due. And if you started worrying about taxes on April the 14th for last year, you're way too late. You see, folks, it's the largest debt you'll ever have. And we, as Americans, spend zero time worrying about how we mitigate the largest debt we'll ever have. We offer you insurance and protection to guard against uninspected and estate planning, investment planning to grow and protect your wealth, and last but not least, legal legacy and wealth transfer to your family in the most inexpensive way you can possibly do that. And so all sections in financial planning need to work together. But I do want you to know this, at B&D Consultants and at NLFA, New Life Financial Alliance, that's what we do. We help you with all these plans. Now, folks, the question is not if. The question is absolutely not if. It's only when and how. When and how what, Dave? When you're going to die and how you've left things after you're dead. See, you can do it intentionally. And if you do it intentionally, it's going to look something like this. It's going to have clarity for your family. Your assets are going to transfer immediately, bypassing a strategic tax called probate taxes. And taxes are minimized through strategic planning. Your exact wishes are honored and enforced. Your family protected from conflict and disputes, or you can do nothing. And here's what's going to happen. The courts are going to decide your intentions. They don't know them, but they're going to decide them. It's going to offer confusion and family disputes over your intentions. Your assets are going to be locked up in probate for 12 to 18 months. Unnecessary taxes, attorney fees, and court costs that you don't need to do. And in family relationships, quite possibly could be damaged for years, if not forever. So the question is not if, only when and how you're going to handle your business. See, in America today, 90 to 95% of Americans have no estate plan whatsoever. 40% have a will, and some of you listening to this call have a will. Well, let me explain something to you about a will. If you have a will or you don't have a will, either or, guaranteed, your family will go through probate. 5 to 10% have a properly funded plan. See, folks, a trust with no assets in it is worthless and does nothing for the beneficiaries. My mother-in-law bought a trust that I sent her to see the attorney. The attorney wrote the trust, charged her $12,000, and then 6 years later wrote her an email and said, hey, you need to come back in and let us fund your trust. Well, that's more money. So what do? They don't go. They're already mad that they got $12,000 in it and think they got a trust. And they do. It's just empty. And then last, the default plan. Without your own plan, the state steps in and you lose control of everything. And I know that's not what you want to happen. So with that being said, we'll move right on. Your estate, everything you own minus everything you owe. So if you take your real estate, your primary home, rental properties, vacation homes, often the largest single asset the family owns, but it's not the largest debt. The largest debt you ever have is probably taxes. Financial accounts, bank accounts, brokerage accounts, retirement plans are part of your estate. Business interests, part of your estate. How are they classified? Well, you have your taxable estate. Everything you own subject to federal estate tax above the exemption thresholds. You have your probatable estate with or without a will. With or without a will goes through probate. And your non-probatable assets, that's assets with beneficiary designation or trust ownership, bypass probate entirely. Now, just know this. Just because you have your beneficiaries on your bank accounts or whatever, right? You name beneficiaries. If they're not named right, you will not be happy with them. Our goal is to help you and show you how to transfer your assets efficiently, minimizing taxes, fees, delays, and family conflict. What's your goal? Is your goal something like that? Well, in New York, if you live here in New York where I live, these are the probate costs, and you will find that they're very similar in a lot of states. The average state charges about 6% in order to do your probate. Well, in New York, if you have an estate value of less than $50,000, they won't charge you anything. But anything over $50,001 up to $500,000 at 3 to 6%, if they have a choice of charging, let you use your common sense and logic right here, okay? Fact. If they have a choice between charging 3% or 6%, what are they going to choose? They'll probably choose the 6%. So if your home itself is worth $500,000, your family will pay $30,000 in probate fees. If it's worth $1 million, they'll pay up to $60,000. And you say, my goodness, it depends where you live. Yes, it does. You see, in New York, a $500,000 home is a starter home. A starter home is the average home in New York is somewhere between $500,000 and $1 million. I live in a home here in New York. It's worth $1.5 million. That number jumps from $30,000 to $60,000 to $90,000 now. Folks, you got to do your math. You got to find out what your probate costs are. Now, here's what I want you to absolutely, another fact. Go, when we get off of this webinar, go and type into Google or type it into your phone right now. I'd like for you to pay attention, but you can type it in, how do I avoid probate in the state of, and put the state that you live in. And the only thing that's ever coming up, this is where I get my confidence in what I do, is with a properly funded revocable living trust. Now, a trust can only be sold by attorneys. I do estate planning. We have attorneys on staff that sign off on the trust all over the country in every state. But in New York, probate can take 9 to 18 months. Well, if it takes 18 months and my property taxes, which I have and which I pay, are $16,000 a year, and it takes 18 months, I'll have to pay, my family will have to pay that twice in that 18-month period. So that's 32,000 on top of the 90,000. That's $122,000 that my children would have to come up with in order to receive their inheritance from me. And they got to come up with it first. Isn't that something? Now, nobody ever taught me that in high school. Nobody ever taught me that in college. Nobody's ever taught me that in life, except the school of hard knocks. Things I've seen happen in the 46 years that I've been in the business. And folks, it does not have to be this way. See, without a plan, with a will, without a will, that's called without a plan, you lose control. Your family has no control. Number two, you can create family conflict because it can breed disagreement that can damage relationships in the family for years. Number three, it's a financial burden. You see, when that money's tied up for 18 months, who's going to pay those fees? What if you still owe money on your mortgage? Who's going to pay your mortgage? Who's going to pay your taxes? Who's going to pay all your monthly fees? Because all your assets, folks, are tied up in probate and nobody can get to them. And then fourth, you have delayed access, 12 to 18 months, while mortgages, taxes, and bills continue to arrive. Who's going to pay those? Well, with or without a will, folks, you're guaranteed that. So if you're sitting there and you do not have a will or you do have a will, please pay attention because it can help save your family a lot of headache and a lot of turmoil and time. But folks, if you choose not to write the script, someone else directs the ending. Call the state government that's doing the probate directs the ending. So inside of a trust, you can get what's called a financial power of attorney. If you don't have that financial power of attorney, you can pick someone to manage your finances. You can pay your bills, mortgage, and taxes. You can decide who manages your investments if you cannot, your bank accounts and real estate. And you can prevent costly court-appointed guardianship if you do not have the capacity to keep functioning. Your IRA and your retirement plans can only be accessed by someone with these powers. And if you don't have those powers, your spouse cannot do anything about it. I know you've been married for 40 years, you've been working together for 40 years, but you know what? This says how you get control. The second power that you can get is a healthcare power of attorney. It will help you to pick someone to make medical decisions for you if you cannot. It directs doctors on your treatment preferences, authorizes or refuses surgeries and procedures, and decides on care facilities or in-home care. Without it, hospitals must follow state law, not your wishes. Power of attorney, who needs them? Who needs all this? Every adult over the age of 18. When do they activate? They only activate when you cannot act. And last, without them, a judge will appoint who makes those decisions, and it won't be a family member. These documents are very simple and easy to create. The cost of not having them can be devastating. If you need them and don't have them, we can help you, folks. Now, I'm going to ask you some questions along the way. You decide yes or no. Is not having your updated healthcare power of attorney for medical decisions and financial powers a concern? Question number one, yes or no. Yes means it's a concern. Question number 2, is not having your adult children with a healthcare power of attorney for medical decisions and financial powers a concern? Folks, those powers you'll see later can come to you as a gift that you can give to them. Yes or no? Conservatorship. Conservatorship at disability or legal incapacity, the probate courts decides who's going to run your family affairs. And if you do not have those powers, it's very important that you get them. You'll have to go through a public court hearing. It's costly and time consuming. And remember, you have no mindset, if that's you in the picture, of what you were doing. And last, you can lose control over all your decisions. A revocable living trust keeps control where it belongs, with you and your loved ones. Folks, question number 3 is preventing conservatorship. Could that be a concern for you? Yes or no? Is having your spouse or loved ones have access to your retirement accounts, your IRA, your 401k, your 403b? If you are incapacitated, is it important for you to let your spouse or loved one be in control of that account if you're incapacitated? Question number 4, yes or no? Chances are you probably got all yeses right now. We offer you a beneficiary review. A beneficiary review is very important. Outdated beneficiaries can override your will and trust. Your ex-spouses, if you have them, may still be listed on IRAs or life insurance. Deceased beneficiaries, somebody that died that you had as a beneficiary, it can cause assets to go through probate. Minor children named directly. If you have minor children, they can create court complications if they're named directly. And if you have no contingent beneficiary on your accounts, it can offer unintended consequences. That's why it matters. Let me tell you what it covers. It covers your IRA, your 401ks and retirement accounts. It covers your life insurance policies, your annuity investment accounts. It covers a thing called per stirpes and per capita designations, which is Latin, which I'll get into in just a second. And it also will align with your trust and overall estate plans. Now, folks, you tell me, when you go to the eye doctor, they say, which one you see clearer on, 1 or 2? 1 or 2? In this case, I believe you see clearer on 2. Well, your beneficiary designations, they just happen to be the most overlooked part of any estate plan. So is having a review of your beneficiaries a concern? Question number 5, yes or no? Facts. That's all I'm giving you today, folks. What is a living will? A living will is a legal document that states your medical treatment preferences. What does it cover? It covers your life support preferences. Who needs one? Everyone over 18. Why it matters? Because it removes the burden of having to go to court and somebody else making those decisions. When you can't speak for yourself, folks, this document will speak for you. You see, in my family, when it says life support preferences, I don't want life support. I want you to pull the plug. When you don't think I'm coming back, pull the plug. But you know what? If the court decides they don't want to pull the plug because I didn't have this, then they don't pull the plug. It can go on for years. Get you a living will, folks. 4 reasons that you want to avoid probate court. 1, it's time consuming, up to 18 months. 2, it's expensive. 3, it's contentious because you end up in court. And 4, it's totally public. Folks, estate planning isn't an indication of your imminent demise, that you're dying tomorrow. It makes you imminently prepared for the unknown, though. Imminently prepared. So let's talk about this. The cost of failing to plan. I'm going to put some famous families up here who have paid the price. Hopefully, you'll see what they paid, and you might make a decision not to send your family through probate. Elvis Presley, Howard Hughes, Michael Jackson, Bob Marley, Pablo Picasso, Prince, Aretha Franklin, James Gandolfini, and Dr. Martin Luther King. Now, folks, you've all seen these names. You know who these people are, and you know they were wealthy before they died. Unfortunately, they died without a will or without a trust or with a will. Without a will, with a will, they ended up in probate. Elvis Presley, you remember I told you across the United States about 6% is what probate cost? Yeah. You tell me what math this is. Elvis Presley had a $10 million estate, 73% lost to probate cost. What? That's not 6%. That's 73%. I don't know. I don't know what they'll do to you. Go down to the very bottom to Dr. Martin Luther King. He had no trust. The family, after 45 years, are still fighting. They're not happy because they had no plan. Well, between those people, folks, that's over $500 million in combined losses to taxes, legal fees, and family conflict. Almost all entirely preventable with proper planning. So here, who's this? Oh, yeah, that's your story. Folks, let me ask you something. What will your story be? The decisions you make today will determine what your family receives tomorrow. It's that simple. See, when you step off, when you get headed towards retirement or death, you need to have your act together. When is that going to be? Nobody knows when that's going to be. We just know it is going to be. Well, let's talk about fees, delays, and court costs, just to give you an example. If you have a $500,000 estate, your heirs could lose probably $31,000. If you have $1 million estate, $61,000. If you have a $2 million estate, they could lose $111,000. Where's that money going to come from? It can't come from your estate. It's got to come from those kids or whoever you're leaving that money to, whoever's responsible enough to pay it. And if there's not, I don't know what to tell you at this point. But that's what you're looking at. Someone must pay these expenses while your family waits, the mortgage, the maintenance, the HOA, the property taxes, all the bills. So probate versus tradition and our NLFA estate plan. Folks, in New York, I already did the math for you. You should have already done the math in your head, and it can take 9 to 18 months. I will venture to say somewhere between 60,000 plus and 18 months is what it's going to cost here in New York if you do nothing about it. Now, you could go the traditional route and go see an attorney. And at that attorney, you will spend $5,000 to $10,000 to get you a trust. Now, at NLFA, for coming to this webinar or seminar, we have a special price for you. We have a one-time initial consultation of $19.95. Everything else is included. And with our estate liquidity plan, we can give the heirs access to the funds in 24 to 48 hours when they need them the most. That's when they need them the most, right after you pass away and nobody knows what's going on. Well, why don't you set the table of what's going on today so that when you pass, the table is set and everybody can sit down and the assets be distributed. Now, I know that's much smoother, but doing nothing about it is very, very expensive. Is your family going through probate a concern? Question number 6, yes or no? Here's some good news, though. Let's talk about the solution, folks. You got a revocable living trust. It's a legal document. It holds your assets. It avoids probate. Why does it matter? So you remain in control. See, you can control everything you have today from the grave, if that's what you choose to do. It gives you privacy and it gives you flexible and adaptability. What the heck does that mean? Well, take this picture. You see that chest? Let's call that the trust. You and your wife, or just you if there's nobody else, or the grantor, what goes in that trust. You can take things in, you can put things out, you can buy property, you can sell property, you can do whatever you want. You just put it in there and you will pick a trustee. That trustee, upon your demise, has a fiduciary duty to give the assets in that trust through the trustee, which is somebody you pick, directly to the beneficiaries in a timely manner. And it's that simple. Every family faces the same three risks. Planning addresses all three. Incapacity while you're alive. You can't do anything. You're in the bed, but you're alive. You're incapacitated, right? Without a plan, the probate court will appoint a conservative. Boy, ain't that good? Somebody up in your business that you never met in your life that thinks they know what you want. Well, only way to fix that is a durable financial power of attorney and a healthcare directive. Death. Upon death, all your assets are going to transfer somewhere. Well, without a plan, the state intestacy law decides. Big word for me. But with a plan, the solution is a revocable living trust and proper titling of all your assets in the name of the trust. And then, last but not least, the biggest risk we have is taxes, the silent wealth eroder. Without a plan, folks, you're in maximum tax exposure. With a plan, tax window strategy, you do strategic conversions along the way with a tax mitigator like Brian, and it reduces your tax situation tremendously. Nothing is certain but death and taxes is what Benjamin Franklin says. Brian says, no, there's a third certainty. A plan makes both manageable. That's what you need, folks, is an estate plan. Well, unexpected beneficiary challenges. Not every heir that you want to leave stuff to is ready or able to receive a large inheritance outright. A properly structured trust provides tailored protection for each unique situation. Minor beneficiaries, incapacitated beneficiaries, or irresponsible beneficiaries. The trust is the solution for all that. Number one, you can have controlled distributions under your terms and timeline. Number two, you can set age milestones for phased inheritance release. You can protect benefits, dependent heirs from disqualifications, lawsuits, and creditors, and divorce. No court-appointed guardians are required if you have a properly structured estate plan. Trustee manages funds with full fiduciary duty. Beneficiary designations. Folks, this is the most underlooked part of the program that I've seen across the United States. You can prevent uninherited disinheritance of grandchildren and future generations if and only if you pay attention right here. See, I'm going to talk to you right now. You leave $900,000 equally to three children, Anna, Ben, and Carla. Anna, unfortunately, dies before you do, leaving two grandchildren of her own. Two. Well, you could have signed up under the beneficiary that is per capita, by head. It's redistributed to the survivors. An example, Anna's deceased. The shares redistributed, $900,000. Ben gets 450, Carla gets 450, and your grandchildren of Anna get nothing. And folks, that is the way that most common beneficiaries are filed through every insurance company, every bank, everything you name beneficiaries on. Most common is per capita. And if you don't want it to go that way, it doesn't have to. See, it can go to the way you want it to, called per stirpes, which means by branch of the family tree. The example, Anna died. Her $300,000 share goes to her two grandchildren split equally, and Ben gets 300, the brother, and Carla gets 300, the sister. See, once again, facts hurt, fixing it helps. Give you an example. If most common is on the left and the right thing to do to you is on the right, what do you want to do? You want to pick, you want to stay where you're at because it's comfortable because you don't want to make any changes, or do you want to fix it? See, most common is on the left. Common costly mistakes, forms not updated after life changes, references to revoked trust, missing contingent beneficiaries. You need to review these forms annually because life happens. Life happens and people come in and out of life. So do beneficiaries. So let's talk about joint tenancy for a minute. A hidden danger. Adding a child to your home title or bank is common, but can be potentially catastrophic. It's not a good strategy as long as you don't need it. It's great. But when you need it, watch what can happen. It can cause gift tax issues. Adding someone to title may trigger a gift tax consequence and permanently eliminate the stepped up in basis advantage to your heirs. I'll explain that later. Loss of control. You need the co-owner's permission to sell or refinance even your own home. Their signature is legally required. See, mom and dad, they put their daughter on their property. And if they want to sell their property, the daughter has to sign off on it. And if she doesn't sign off on it, she's a co-owner. It's not going to get sold. The next thing, creditor exposure. What if the daughter's getting sued and she loses a $500,000 lawsuit and she's on your $500,000 home and they go after it? That doesn't feel very good at this point, does it? No. And what about if that knucklehead over there on the right comes home, decides he wants a divorce, and you're in a $500,000 home, and the lawyer does a skip trace and says, oh my goodness, your spouse right here has title to a $500,000 home that's paid for. You want $250,000? And he says yes. Guess what? Somebody's going to remortgage their home. I know that wasn't your intent. It's all a great plan, folks, till it's not. There's a better alternative to all of that. A revocable living trust maintains full control, avoids probate, and protects your assets from a co-owner's life events with none of the above risk whatsoever. So question number 7, is joint tenancy on a property a concern? 1, yes, 2, no. What about an IRA beneficiary trust? It's called real world protection. You have a trust and you have a beneficiary on your IRA. Let's look at it. Emily inherits a $1.2 million IRA. She later divorces Brad. The commingled IRA becomes maritable property and Brad claims 50%. Real world problems. With an IRA trust, the beneficiary keeps the inheritance separate and legally protected. Brad gets nothing. Peace of mind. Real world protection, real world facts. An IRA beneficiary trust for real world protection and facts is a creditor shield. Just on qualified money. Without a trust, Michael inherits a $500,000 IRA from his dad. He gets sued though as a business owner, and the inherited IRA can be garnished up to the whole $500,000. And he has nothing without a trust. But with a trust, the trust shields the IRA from personal creditors. The lawsuit cannot touch the protected inheritance of qualified money. What about real world protection for overspending? You see, in the world of inheritance, 85% of every dime that you leave your children is gone within 18 months. Now, I know you didn't work all your life for that to happen, but if you don't protect it for them because they don't know protection from themselves, watch this. Sophie, age 22, she inherits a $300,000 IRA. She cashes out, buys a car, travels, and owes $90,000 in taxes. Normal? Every day. Fact? Every day. With an IRA trust, though, it limits access to $30,000 a year to her and preserves the balance and avoids impulsive, irreversible financial decisions. You see, folks, done right, an estate plan can help you control your assets that you're leaving from the grave. Very important. Question number 8 is protecting your children and grandchildren from bankruptcy, lawsuits, or divorce. Is that a concern? Yes or no? Common sense, logic. It's all we do, folks. Multi-generational control. Assets stay in the bloodline. Inheritance, initial inheritance, Amelia inherits an IRA from her parents. 3 years later, though, she dies, leaving behind 2 daughters. Without a trust, the remainder passes to the new spouse if they remarried, not the grandchildren. That may not be your desire. You may not care. But if you do, with an IRA beneficiary trust, the trust names the granddaughters as successors and the assets stay in the bloodline. The trust ensures your legacy flows to the people you intended, not to people you don't even know. Question number 9 is protecting your children or grandchildren from unintentional disinheritance or concern. Fact, yes or no? Common sense, logic, is it yes or is it no? Is it a concern? Is not having a beneficiary trust a concern? Question number 10, yes or no? Long-term security over short-term luxury. As I told you before, 85% of inheritances are depleted in 18 months. So from the grave, you can give them a certain amount of money at 21, a certain amount when they graduate college, a certain amount when they buy a home or whatever. You can give them a certain amount, or you can give it all to them down the road. That's your choice. And if they ever get in a box, they can do the HIM standard, which will help them if they need money for health, if they need money for education, if they need money for basic living expenses, or general support for comfort and well-being. That can be adjusted, okay? But you still control it. Folks, number 11 is protecting your children and grandchildren from wasteful spending a concern. Yes or no? That's your choice. Stepped up in basis advantage. Folks, when somebody tells you, are you going to get it stepped up, that means you're going to get the fair market value on the date of death, wiping out all capital gains accumulated during the lifetime of the deceased person. This is one of the most powerful and underutilized tax advantages in estate planning. Here's an example. Mom buys a home in 1980 for 100 grand. The value at death last year, 800,000. Unrealized gain, $700,000. If everything is stepped up, the new heirs basis is $800,000. They owe zero in taxes. It's a savings of $140,000. Or you can go back a few slides and you can put your children on your property to help something you don't know if it's going to happen to you or not. What's not going to happen to them, if you put them on your property, they will not get the stepped up cost basis. Another example, that was real estate. Let's talk about stocks for a minute. Dad bought Apple stock at $20 a share. The value at death was $239 a share. The heirs get it at $239 a share. $239. So if there's 1,000 shares, they get $239 that they bought for 2,000. It's craziness, isn't it? But you know what? If sold at 239, they have zero taxable gain. If it goes to 259, they'll pay a $20 per share capital gain tax on it. But not many people know about that. You have a strategic opportunity to meet with Brian and myself and decide if we can help you in any of these situations. And we suggest you take that option. Tax-free family legacy, gifting and survivorship life insurance. You know, most of us on this call are in our 70s, some 60s, some 50s, some might be even older. And we think we're too old for life insurance. Well, here's a 73 and 71-year-old. The RMDs, the required minimum distributions, exceed lifestyle needs. In other words, their check every year is $60, $70, $80,000. And so they say, you know what? Why don't we take $40,000 a year for 10 years and we'll give it to a life insurance contract. That'll get us $1.2 million or $2 million to the heirs, tax-free from the life insurance. See, folks, this money, they wasn't going to do anything with it anyway. So why not put it to where it'll offer a tax-free income? Why? Because we want you to spend your money in retirement and enjoy your retirement. And let this situation like this, if we can figure out a way to do that for you, let this situation give your heirs tax-free money forever, and you spend your retirement and enjoy your life. See, many seniors come to me and say, "Oh no, we don't want to spend the kids' money. We don't want to spend the kids' money." Spend the money. Just give it a backup plan. Here's another example, 75, 73, want a gift amount $20,000 a year for 10 years. They put up $20,000, get $600,000 tax-free to their heirs if they die in the first year. If they do it for 10 years, they got $200,000 and they still get $600,000 tax-free. Folks, you cannot beat tax-free income, no matter what you do. This is what I want to show you. Remember I show you taxes, most important thing you can deal with? Well, if I to give you $1 and I double it 20 times, and I'm going to add some taxes, I'm going to take some taxes away. Watch what the power of zero taxes come to. See, if I give you $1 and it's going to double 20 times, that means the first year that dollar is going to grow to 2. But if you're in a 33% tax bracket, it only grows to $1.67. In the next year, that $2 grows to 4. But if you're in a 33% tax bracket, it only grows to $2.78, then to $8, then to $16. You see what this does to you? It eliminates the growth. It stunts the growth. But if we did it at a 25% bracket, it'd be worth $72,000 after the last time it doubled. So you had $1 that went to 2, but with taxes you had to pay $1.75, 4, $3, 8, 16, 32, 64. See what's happening? But the end result, given a choice between those two right there, which would you rather have? You'd rather have the bigger number, I hope. Why? Because common sense and logic says you need the bigger number. Well, let's look at the power of zero. The power of zero taxes goes 2, 4, 8, 16, 32, and ends up the last turn on the 20th turn, it ends up to be worth $1 million. Do you think having a tax mitigator might help you some with the largest debt you'll ever have? And folks, you can't do tax mitigation on April the 14th when it's due on the 15th. It's an ongoing thing. You have to work at it. So it's minimizing the taxes you pay and increasing the tax-free inheritance inheritance of interest to you for your family? Question number 12. Yes, is it important? Or 2, I don't need it. Let them pay it. The estate plan package, we'll charge you $19.95, but in that estate plan, you get, well, if you own one property, you got a deed transfer of $199. That's after. But if you have 2 or 3 properties, you got to take care of those deed transfers. So that's time. But for most people, you got $19.95, value bonus included. We'll share with you financial and tax planning, which is valued at up somewhere between $2,000 to $4,000. Legal documents and attorney reviewed and attorney approved and available both ways. What's included? Of course, you'll get the revocable living trust, a pour-over will, financial power of attorney, healthcare power of attorney, cloud storage and annual review, beneficiary review, comprehensive financial analysis, and a tax and risk mitigation review only if you want one. You see, I believe in a few things, and these 3 questions are very important when it comes to you and how far you're going to go in retirement before you run out of money, or you'll never run out of money, one of the 2. Number 1, what are your returns? See, folks, if I say, what are your returns last year, the last 3 years, and the last 5 years? Most people say, oh, they're pretty good. They're pretty good. Pretty good is not an answer. You know what is an answer? An actual interest rate. You know whose money that is? That's your money. You know who needs to know that answer? You do. And if you think you don't, wait till I put down at the bottom what I'm going to put on this screen, and we'll go from there. What are your returns? How much risk do you have? Oh, I'm very conservative. I don't have much risk. Well, we've seen what people think is not much risk is costing them thousands of dollars a year. Could it be you? It could be. I hope it's not, but it could be. But until you get a second opinion, you're not going to know because you don't know today. And the third thing, are you paying the least possible tax on your assets and your money? Are you, or do you know? Well, here's the question, folks. Are you confident enough with your current advisor to get a second opinion from somebody else? Now, if you're that confident, we'd love to give you a second opinion. If you're not that confident, we still want to give you a second opinion. But you got to let us know that you want to meet with us. Is your retirement plan protected? Critical questions every retiree should be able to answer confidently. We have a thing called a Social Security tax torpedo. See, when you hit 73 and a half, folks, you're going to start getting what's called required minimum distributions. And at that point, your income goes up. And at that point, 85% of your Social Security is subject to taxes. We can help you with that. Medicare premium surcharges, a thing called IRMA. Folks, if you're paying IRMA, you know you don't like IRMA. We can help you with that. Number 3, RMD and the widow's penalties. Folks, it's a sad thing when a husband's making $3,000 a month from Social Security, wife's making $2,000 a month from Social Security, got a nice pension, everything's going fine, and it's a sad thing when one of them dies. You know why? Because they lose a Social Security check. Whether it's $2,000 or $3,000, depending on who died, they can always pick the biggest one. But when one of them dies, okay, the widow penalty come into effect. And either way, in that case, they lose $2,000 a month in income that was guaranteed. We can help you with that if you allow us to. Asset titling for tax efficiency, Brian would help you with that. Written stress test financial plan. Have you ever had a written plan for you financially that has been stress tested for tax increases, inflation, and market declines over a 20 to 30-year horizon? I doubt you do, but you could have. Smart tax planning creates once-in-a-lifetime opportunities. See, today, folks, with a standard tax deduction, a married couple married filing jointly, can get up to $128,000 tax-free by strategic asset location and distribution sequencing. It can help minimize taxes and maximize retirement income significantly. Folks, I'm using words I can't even say, but I'm telling you, these are words that most people don't know anything about when they step off of that retirement cliff. All we want to do is talk logic and common sense with you. Is paying tax on your Social Security benefits a concern? Is overpaying your taxes a concern? Question 13, yes or no? Long-term care, a life event with high probability. High probability. Folks, if you were getting on a plane, they told you had a 70% chance of the plane going down, would you keep getting on that plane? Probably not. Well, what if you had a 90% chance the plane would go down? See, folks, with all this, a couple, 90%, one of you is going to need some type of long-term care. Well, here's what we know. To protect your assets, sometimes the old ways has flaws, family isn't always practical, and there are better options. If those are concerned, let us know. Question 14. What you've learned tonight, you've learned that revocable living trusts that are properly funded avoid probate. You earned some tax planning ideas. Beneficiaries needed protection. Federal exemptions, we can peak those now. Your stepped up cost basis can save your children or your family thousands of dollars. And having a plan is the greatest gift that you could give to your children. Folks, if you'd like a free consultation, no cost, no obligation, please get back in touch with the person that invited you to this call and let them know that you'd like a free consultation. Our gift to you for attending tonight's workshop, you'll receive 3 powerful tools to protect your family's future at no cost, no obligation. Healthcare power of attorney, designate who makes medical decisions if you can't. Your financial power of attorney, protect your finances if you become incapacitated, and you'll receive a comprehensive financial plan if you choose to. Your next step's very simple. The best estate plan is the one your family doesn't have to figure out. Complete the form, we'll give it to you, private phone call, and get your free reviews. Folks, this is Coach Dave Montgomery telling you thank you very much for coming out tonight or today or watching this video whenever you're watching it. That's my address, my phone number, and my email address. If I can help you in any way, please give me a call and we will go from there. Please note, if somebody sent you this call, the first thing I'm going to ask you is who sent you, because I don't believe in taking clients, but I do believe in helping people. So with that in mind, folks, thank you for your time. It's been exactly 1 hour. Thank you.